We are. Welcome back to Chewin the Fat. Happy Sunday to you and yours out there in TV land, YouTube land, or whatever land you want to call it. I am here with another. Hey, look, he is an ECW original. We all are. People, they're a little confused by it. They might not say that, we're ECW originals, but we are the true ECW originals. That's why I call myself now the original ECW original. But anyway, I'm like so excited by this. I actually had a chance to work this guy in a match once. We're going to talk about all this stuff, but let's welcome to the show. He's truly the one and only, Mr. Ernesto Benfica. What's up, Ernie?
Hey, Bay, how you doing, man? Happy
Good,
to
man.
be
It's so good to see you.
here. I'm glad you reached out. I didn't understand why at the beginning, but we can talk a little bit about this as we go.
It's funny. Like me and Ernie were just talking before we went live, and I just said to him, when I reached out to Ernie, he was like shocked, and he was like, "Dude, like I was just like this small little piece of sand on the big beach of ECW. Why are you asking me?" And I'm like, no matter how big or small your piece of sand was in ECW, it matters because you are a piece that people know about and they want to find out about and they want to know your thoughts on then and everything about you and what you're up to now. So, and you know what? So do I, because the fun thing about this whole thing for me as I'm doing all this, guys like yourself and even last week with Tony and Hot Body the week before, like I never had a chance to really sit down and ask these questions, especially of like the early days of you guys, because you guys, like those guys for me were already on the scene, but you, for me, I just remember you popped up at Ringmasters Wrestling School one day.
Right.
So, and you were already trained. So I never knew like where did Ernie come from? How did you get your start in the business? I never knew.
One day I just showed up.
Yeah, he did. Literally, you
Flew
just
right in, man.
you showed up one day, and they were like, "All right, Ernie's a new guy to the TWA roster."
I'll tell you how that went. When really in the beginning, my brother and I, we were huge fans. My parents, they immigrated to the U.S. In 1969,
Okay.
and my brother and I stayed in Portugal, and
Oh,
we were
okay.
there for 3 years until they got everything situated, everything legalized, so we can come and join them here. So we got
Wow.
here
Okay.
about 1972, and
Okay.
I remember the first weekend. I'm sitting there with my dad and my brother, and he turned on wrestling. And dude, from that moment, I was hooked. It was just, I don't know what it was. The wrestling was just one of the top things. I mean, if not the top thing, in my life. Every Saturday, they'd have shows at 12 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock, 12 o'clock show comes on. We'd sit there watch, and then we're counting down the hours to the 5 o'clock
Really?
show. We saw guys like Pedro Morales, Stan Stasiak, El Olympico, Sonny King, Manuel Soto, Tony Uria, Dean Ho, Chief J Strongbow. And dude, we were hooked, and Fuji and Tanaka, of course, um, Buddy Wolf, and Mike McCord, I believe is now Austin.
Okay.
He was actually at the TNA show there at the Autumn Armageddon, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think you're right.
You remember that? Yeah. One of many, one of many. So we were hooked, and we loved it. I mean, that's all we did. I remember we we had a black and white TV at the time,
Sure.
so we used to go to a place called Pennsauken Mart,
Okay.
like on the weekends and stuff like that. And my dad decided to buy a color TV. First thing my brother said to me was, "Ernie, we're gonna be able to watch wrestling in color." How cool is that? So from early on, man, we just loved wrestling, and we couldn't help but to want to do everything to get as much access to it as we could. The magazines, the
Well,
and
let me ask you
going
this
to the
because because
Yeah.
my personal experience with I didn't start watching wrestling until I was like 10, 11 years old, and then I started getting the
Oh,
magazines and like I would bring like the magazines into grade school at the time, and everybody would make fun of me. And then I was like, wait, I was like so confused. I'm like, why is everybody making fun of me? They're like, wrestling's fake, right? I'm like, no, it's not. And I couldn't grasp like why they were saying this, and everybody's making fun. It was like a whole big thing. Did you like experience
yeah,
the same
that's
thing?
right, man. It's always thrown around, and it wasn't exactly like that. But when you had heroes in baseball and basketball in football, my
Hmm.
hero was Pedro Morales, Bruno Sammartino.
Okay.
Bruno. Let me show you this. Um, Sal Corrente, excellent book. From
Sure.
yeah. Do you know Sal?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and it's just it was just unbelievable. The passion and the appreciation and the following that we have for the business. For the sport, and I got the same thing. Oh, wrestling is fake. Wrestling is fake. I said, man, no, it's not. And I like it. I watch it. I read the magazines. I do this, and that's basically all I did. I didn't have any huge sports figures that I appreciated. I remember at some points they used to put baseball in on channel 29 or 48 instead of
Okay.
the wrestling matches at 5 o'clock or when
Right.
on. And I'm calling a station like, why is baseball on instead of wrestling? And I loved it that much. So pretty crazy. So getting to the
That's
Monster Factory. Um, uh,
now.
I
Let me
met a
ask. Wait.
guy
Well, let me
who's
ask you this. So you went to the Monster Factory, but like, was there like a defining point where you just finally said like I have to do this?
I was I think I was like 20 years old, and
Okay.
big. I used to take a dozen people to the Spectrum to the Civic Center every month. I mean, hey, I got the tickets for everyone. Let's go. It's like, and I took care of all that for everybody. Even went to the
Wow.
Garden, 1983,
Really?
Garden to watch Superfly Jimmy Snuka and Don Morocco in New York. It was about a dozen
Wow.
of them that went down just to see that match. An incredible match, right?
Sure.
Morocco versus Superfly. 10 years later, we're in ECW and I'm wrestling Morocco on TV.
Right.
You know, it was a crazy match. Of course,
And he's ordering a pizza.
the dude is a monster, and he ordered from Domino's while we had our match. Pulled my hair out of my chest and stuff like that. But it's just wow. It was incredible for me. It was like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. Believe it or not.
That's
Um,
awesome.
to watch these two guys, do that, to venture out to New York, and there were tickets being scalped outside for $500 to get into the building to see this match. And this is in
Wow.
1983, so that's a lot of bread.
Sure. Sure.
And but we were in, and we saw it, and it was just amazing. Um, so 10 years later, ECW, Snook is there, Morocco is there, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe this. I was like, this is like a dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm here, with these guys. But I went to the Monster Factory. A defining moment. I met this guy named Kenneth Pryor.
Okay.
We started talking, and he asked me, Ernie, if there was something you really wanted to do with your life, what would it be? And I said, I'd love to be a professional wrestler. But I'm like, look at me, dude. I'm 140 pounds. There's no way. I said, is that really what you want to do? And we started talking, and he convinced me. He said, dude, if you really want to do that, just do it. So I went up with him to the Monster Factory. We met with Larry, and started training like a couple weeks later. Came in,
Wow.
did the bumps, did the flips. It's funny that I heard you say that you had a hard time, doing the flips, right?
Yeah.
For me, the flips were easy. The difficult part was like falling back. Falling back on my
Really?
back.
Okay.
I would fall on my butt instead of that. So, but eventually, and eventually got that taken care of because you got to take bumps in wrestling. That's just how it is. And
Absolutely.
did a couple months of training, worked in construction that summer. I worked things out with my boss. I said, look, I'll stay here until 4 o'clock every day. A couple days a week, I got to go to the gym. So I go to whatever construction site we're in at that time. The trip home was like anywhere about 45 minutes to an hour from where we were at. And then going to the Monster Factory, that was another hour there. You train
Okay.
for an hour and a half, come back for another hour. 5:30 in the morning, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I do it. I got to do this again. And when you got home from the gym, dude, especially early on, your body was all beat up,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just remember filling my tub, laying there with Epsom salt, trying to heal the bumps and bruises, and there were a lot, So,
Now,
but that's
what
how
year
it
was
started.
what year was that you went to the Monster Factory?
I gotta say, 1987,
Okay.
1988,
Okay.
1987, 1988. Tony
Now,
was
was Larry was he your official trainer, or was there somebody else doing the training for him? Or
I trained with Charlie Fulton. Remember Charlie Fulton? He used to work for the WWF way back in the day. He had a couple matches there.
yeah.
He was there. I
Okay.
worked
Name sounds
with
familiar.
Charlie Fulton, and with Larry. When I first went to the Monster Factory, the gym was a boxing and wrestling gym. Dick
Okay.
Worley was there, and
Okay.
they had separate rings, and everybody went and trained there. But then I trained for the summer. I left for a little while, got married in September of '88. This is the funny
Okay.
part. When I went to the gym, I left for about a month or so, and on September 3rd, my wife and I got married. It's been 36 years,
Wow.
and
Congratulations, man.
thank you. We went on our honeymoon. We were there, had a great time, and on our way back, when we sat in the plane, I was like, Paula, I smell candles. What is that? And didn't think too much of it. Next
Hmm.
day, when we got back home, we were delayed for a day and got back the next day. I called Ken at his job, and his boss. I said, "Hey, is Ken available?" He's like, "He's deceased," and I didn't hear him. I said, "Okay, well, when will he be available?" It's like I didn't hear him,
Yeah.
and he said, "Oh, he's deceased," and dude, I just that was one of the toughest things that I had to deal with at that time. It's like I lost a brother. This guy who encouraged me,
Sorry.
who was going to be my manager probably, and everything like that. He was gone just like that, and it was that was kind of
Wow.
crazy. That was a major, letdown there. But
Sure.
I continued going back, and continued training. Had my first match with Devious Darren Weiss,
Okay.
and it was a packed house that night, man, in Mount Holly, New Jersey, and Morocco was on there at that
Okay.
time. Yeah, it was a great match, and I was always one to sell a lot of tickets because I like people to come down, introduce them to the sport,
Sure.
and a lot of the people that came down actually went to the matches with me way back when.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was a great night. A lot of people came down. I think I myself, had about 50 people down there. So that was pretty cool. They came down, they supported, they cheered, and I went over that night, which was really really cool. It was a nice gift for them, and
Nice.
that's how it started. Had a couple more matches there. One with Tricky Nicky in South Philly. I think that Tony went to that school, or he was
Okay.
close to that school, and another nice crowd, that came down, and they really popped for the finish, and it was just a great night, man. The only match that my dad went to, always.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was extra special that day, and really trained hard to make it look perfect and for it to be perfect. So
That's
And I had
awesome.
a couple more matches and stuff like that. And then I got away from the business for a while. Family, work.
Sure.
It's just a lot to do. And eventually, um, I contacted. Let me see here, Joel.
Yeah.
I, I contacted Joel Goodhart. I was working at a place called Sport Honda
Okay.
on Frankfurt Avenue, which was a couple blocks away from the gym where they had a ring. If you,
Actually, if I wasn't, was Steve Richards working there?
yeah, Stevie Richards was working there too. He was,
Right. I remember.
he,
Yeah. He
yeah,
because I used to go pick him up,
right.
and, like on his lunch break, and we would run down to the ring and train during lunch.
I wish I knew a little bit better, but yeah, for a period of time I didn't know. Then I came to know. And he worked there. I worked there as a salesman. I think he was handling cars or something else.
Yeah.
There's some type of a maintenance there. I'm not exactly sure. Great guy, by the way. Always
Yeah.
liked Stevie Richards. And called Joel. Then I think you and I got together there. We
Hmm.
gave him a little 5-minute match or something like that, and got booked for the Civic Center, Autumn Armageddon,
Right.
and that's where things started. As far as the ECW goes, but the TWA, you got to give them credit. You got to give Joel all the credit in the world for starting something so amazing. And you know what? I was listening to Tony last week. I didn't get to hear Johnny Hotbody's cast, but I was listening to Tony, and he and I felt kind of, these two guys put on such a program, such amazing matches. Actually, really, really, delved into hardcore. You
Hmm.
know, was pretty amazing, and kind of saddens me that when the ECW boom, when it really went crazy,
Yeah.
came around, I didn't get to see it. Those two guys in the middle of that picture, they, in my opinion, they truly did deserve it.
Agreed. Agreed. It's like it's definitely like an absolute shame, that those two guys are not
Like
recognized.
you know, like that
It's
in the middle of all that, because I think he should have been there. I really
agreed.
do. Me
Agreed.
myself, not so much, because it was a different type of situation, but all the work and all the effort that they put in for all that time, putting on those mad blood and guts, the hard. I wish I would have seen that. That's all I could say as far as those two guys are concerned.
Had you like?
So
Did you hear about like TWA at the time, or did you find out about it through Richards? Or
I went to the temple shows. I went to the
okay,
temple shows.
okay,
I had a camera. I started taping at ringside, just out of the blue. I started
okay,
taping at ringside, and I can't remember this guy's name, but he was a guy who was taping the matches too. Big dude, nice
yeah,
guy, and
beard,
and I think he lost it.
mustache.
Yeah, Beard. Who was that?
Yeah, I
You
forget
remember
his
his name?
name. I forget his name, but
Oh,
yeah, he's a very, very nice guy. He was always at ringside. He was taping the stuff for Joel and all.
exactly. So I got my camera, and Abdullah the Butcher's wrestling that night, and he's doing his, biting the rope with the blood gushing down his thing, and I'm right in his face with the camera, getting that. And they approach me. He's like, "Man, I got to get that footage. I got to get that footage." I said, "No problem, man. Here you go." After it was all said and done. But
Wow.
that's when I was introduced to, the DC Drake thing. Him hanging off the side, the side of
Right, right.
the. You remember that? That was crazy, man.
See, now that
I
was
think we caught
actually
some
before
punishment.
my ECW indie wrestling time. I didn't even
Before
know
your time,
about
or
it. Yeah, I didn't even know about indie wrestling or TWA at that point. I found out about it a little bit
hey,
later.
he had Bruno. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I found out about it. And I said, it'd be great to be a part of this. Already trained, but
Mhm.
I didn't get into it. And then I called Joel, and that's how I got involved with the TWA. And it's a shame that it folded like it did. It was kind of abrupt.
Yeah.
After Armageddon, my wife and my kids, we went to Europe on vacation, and
Okay.
when we came back, it's like it's no longer there. Wrestling radio and stuff like that. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Oh,
That's how it, that's how things ended with that.
so it was then right. I guess it was summer '91 when you came in.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I don't remember the
Yeah,
date
because it
exactly.
was
Some
January '92.
years
He
I
closed up.
Yeah. When Stevie and I were working at Sport Honda and they had the gym down the
Hmm.
street on Frankfurt, that's that's when actually we got into that. And then I saw that Todd was running shows at the Cabaret, so
Okay.
I gave Todd a call, and that's when we had that match there at the Cabaret. That was a pretty good one too, man. I
It's it's funny because um the thing I remember about Ernie was like Ernie would pop up out of the blue, and then yeah, TWA folded. So it was like, all right, well, who knows where Ernie is because now like ECW is going, and all of a sudden, boop, here comes Ernie again. He's back. It was like,
Yeah, just right in. But going back to the TWA show, I heard Tony talking about it last week. It's true. I did ask him to gig me because I've never gigged before. So, and I trusted him and stuff like that.
sure,
So we're in the ring, and the shenanigans that he said I was doing, um, I got popped really hard in the jaw by Sabu, and
okay,
I saw him going up to the rope, and then I try to get to him. So
yeah,
Tony saw that, grabbed me, and it was like boom, boom, body slam. And this is pretty new to me. So when he body slammed me, I did hold on to him, but then I let go. And when we got back in a ring, I'd never gigged before, and I had the blade in my in my wristband, and I was unable to get it out. I don't know if I put it in wrong or right. And then I told him, dude, can you do this? So he got me up, head butted me a couple times, cut me, and yeah, I don't know what it sounded like, but I might have been like, rah, something like. So he's absolutely right about that. Absolutely right about that. And then what after the this is the crazy part. After the show, we went out, picked up some food, went back to my parents' house, and I'm trying to eat, and I can't freaking eat. I can't open my mouth. I'm like, holy shit, what the hell is going on? So that pop, I think cracked my jaw, and it cracked it right here. So
oh
much about
damn,
wrestling being fake, right?
yeah, right.
And that does include the bumps and the bleeding and everything else.
Oh man,
So that was kind of crazy. So then here's the deal with that. I got my jaw wired after I got an X-ray the following day or the day after, and here I have to keep my jaw wired for 6 weeks, meaning I can't eat. Babe,
oh.
I love to eat. My goodness, I'm Portuguese. I love to eat. And he wired me up, and this was crazy. I'm sitting at home. I'm on TV. I had to leave sport because I couldn't really talk. The people with my jaw wired like that. It was just, selling cars like that just wasn't right. So I
Sure.
left. So I left for a couple of weeks, and I'm sitting home and I'm watching McDonald's commercials, Burger King commercial, Wendy's commercial, and I'm going freaking nuts, man. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta. So about 3 weeks into this thing, I go upstairs to my bathroom. I clip the wires off, pull them out with a pair of pliers. I shoot up to the freaking McDonald's. I buy 8 hamburgers, and God, I ate every single one.
Oh, that's
Doctor wasn't
hysterical.
happy to see me. Doctor wasn't happy to see me afterwards when I came to get it wired back on again. But at least I got a good meal within the
There
day.
you go. That's hysterical.
That's the deal there at the TWA, and I was sad, when I came back and wrestling radio wasn't on, and what he did with just a radio show, man, it was amazing. The
Right.
people he brought in, he had San Martino down there, with his son David. He
Hmm.
wrestled Zabisco for the WWA belt and all that stuff. So my goodness, and what he produced, what he put together at the that event, the Autumn Armageddon, he
Yeah.
had Abdullah the Butcher there. This Sheik, you
Mm-hmm.
know, since Medusa,
Yeah.
Owen Owen Hart had just gotten back from Germany. You know, he lost a match that he had to remove his mask because he was a
Yeah.
bruise raiser and stuff like that. And he was good with that, from what he said. Said I got paid $5,000 to do it. I'm happy about it. So that
Mm-hmm.
was, just had a lot of conversation with a lot of guys, and it was so cool, so awesome to be a part of that. It was like, wow, being a
Well,
wrestling fan all my life, and now I'm surrounded by all these people.
by
All
these guys.
how cool was that? Working in the ring with Sandman, and oh man, how cool was that? So that was.
Let, let,
Go ahead.
let me ask you, because you were there towards the end of TWA, and then you were there at the beginning of ECW.
Yes.
And you're saying how great TWA was when Todd took over and made ECW, and that early ECW, before we even got TV, or even during when we had early days of TV. What
Right.
was your initial thoughts on the ECW Eastern Championship Wrestling? Where like you can hear your passion talking about Joel and TWA. Did you have the same feelings towards ECW, or?
I did, man. I did. I was so happy to be a part of that because, of all, because of Morocco and Snuka.
Right.
Like I said, in 1983 we saw that epic match, and then I'm there, and both of these guys are there. Had a little altercation there that same night at the cabaret with Snooki. Broke a cane on my back. How crazy
Okay.
is that?
Right. Right.
Breaks a cane on my back. I think my son kept that for a long time. The end of it.
That's
and
awesome.
and and I thought it was cool. I thought it was just a great opportunity, and I was happy to be there. It seemed like it was going forward, and it was, obviously.
Hmm.
So then he got the TV thing,
Yeah.
and he was doing stuff at Cabrini College.
Cabrini. Yeah.
Yeah, Cabrini College, and that's when I wrestled Morocco, and who else? Yeah, at Cabrini College there, I wrestled Morocco, Balomo. That was a surprise, something that was thrown at me at the last minute. Wasn't expecting it, but all right, I'll do
Right.
whatever you guys want me to do because I'm here, and that's what we do. Um, so I was happy to be there, happy to be a part of that. It's just the beatdowns, man, were like crazy. It's like back then I was like, look, this is what I got to do. I'll do it. And
Right.
I endured a lot of punishment,
Hmm.
from a lot of guys. Lost match after match after match. And these were all on TV. So
Hmm.
I'm selling tickets. I'm bringing people down, and I'm like, what the freak, But I'm doing, and I kept a smile on my face and just did it because that's what we did. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, you did it. You did, and I've been, I've said many times,
Yeah.
as I've been doing this whole react and chill with Chubby Dudley. Um, I don't know if there was ever conversations, and I'll ask you this now: if there was ever conversations with you and Todd, or you and Eddie on uh, bookings, or booking you and your character, or whatever. But I always felt, and actually, we talked about Frank, my very good, one of my best friends, Frank Cody, and he was like my business partner at the time in the '90s with Liberty All Star Wrestling, and we
I have
we
something very positive to say about him as we get along.
we talked about. I remember we had many conversations, and we always felt bad, and the way you were treated, because we knew you were selling a lot of tickets for them, and I'm sure like those Cabrini shows was probably more than half of your crowd is that crowd, you know.
True, that's
Um,
the crazy part, And then
yeah, and
I'm doing a 15-second jump right out of the gate with Balomo. Oh no,
yeah,
he was a great guy. Balomo was a great guy. Did that? He said, "Oh man, somewhere down the road, we'll work it out, and I'll do the same for you." And I was like, "Hey man, I appreciate that. Can't wait for that to happen sometime down the road." Yeah, he was great to work with. Morocco was as well. I did have interactions with Eddie, and
okay,
there was a plan down the line to put a little something together, and I just believed in what was going to be. So
Sure.
I sacrificed. I did what I had to do, and I endured it. And when you're in a wrestling business, sometimes you got to do things you don't really like to do or want to
Sure.
do, but you accept it and you just do it. And that's
Hmm.
just the bottom line. You got to have an incredible degree of toughness to be able to endure all that and get through it and deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
Not only but not only physical toughness, Erna, I think mental toughness as well, because I mean you had to be frustrated.
I
I know
was.
I was frustrated.
I was frustrated, and I was frustrated because things weren't moving along enough, and I kept being put in situations that I had to put other people over in. It's not the part of putting people over. There is no issue with that when we're
Right.
coming when we're talking about wrestling, because everybody does it for everybody at some point.
Sure.
It's one after the other, and I couldn't wrestle. I just went in there and said, "Look, we're going to beat you down, and
Yeah.
and you just got to sell it." You know what? I took it, I sold it, got through it, and it was a tough situation to do, but I did it.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah.
I'm here today to
Now
talk Chubby Dudley. It's a beautiful thing.
yeah, well, Chubby Dudley, I didn't even get matches. I was just out at ringside and getting hit with chairs and put through tables. So
So you have some idea of what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
exactly,
I actually
exactly.
had pretty physical encounters. I mean, it was a tough situation. I'll tell you one of the matches. One of the matches. I'll go through a couple of them. When I wrestled Morocco, Morocco was very cool to work with, very smooth. I was a little unbalanced, but and he
Hmm.
was towering over me, dude.
He's a big boy.
I look at the video now. It's like, dude, he's 3/3 of what I am. I'm
Hmm.
1/3 of what he is. I meant to say. And but we did what we needed to do, and then I started talking to Eddie,
Okay.
and that's when we started doing things, with the chain match. I'll tell you about the chain match. When I got to the arena that day, I looked, at the list,
Yeah.
who's going up against who, and it said Ernesto Benfica versus Eddie Gilbert in a chain match. I was like, whoa, that kind of took me by surprise because I had no idea. You know what I'm
Whoa.
saying?
Yeah.
So that was like out of the blue. Out of the blue, it just popped up, and I was like, well, how do I take this? Because I never had a chain match before. I had
Hmm.
you know 5-10 matches under my belt before that.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, okay, but I'm being told, look, you got to do this, you got to do this, and then we're going to get to a point where we're going to do this for you, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute.
Okay.
But when I saw that I was wrestling Eddie in a chain match, I was like, holy shit, what do I do? And it's
Hmm.
like, and it's not like me and him spoke for an hour or anything like that before we actually got in there, dude. We had 5-minute conversation. All right, we're going to get in there. We're going to do this, take a couple bumps. Well, as soon as we got started, he comes at me and hits me with a freaking right shot to the head. At that
Mm.
point, I'm like, whoa, man, that was stiff as hell. I'm a little dazed and confused. So, but I said, okay, we got to do this. We got to do this. And I kept doing it. Taking the shots, taking the hits, just pretty much letting him do what he wanted because I was there to
Right.
sell a beat down for the upcoming, match with the Funk.
With
And
funk. Yeah.
that was what I was doing. It was a demonstration, not a match. And what a hell of a demonstration it was, huh? So, when people say wrestling is fake, they have no freak clue what you have to endure in that. You know what I'm saying? No clue. And I mean, those chair
Yeah.
shots
Oh yeah.
out of the ring and all that stuff, that must have been brutal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I go back when I like see clips of that stuff now. I'm just like, wow. Like, there's no way.
And
I don't know what, because even then, like, it got to the point where, early on, like in the late '80s when you were trained, and early '90s when I was trained, it was like, put your hand up and protect yourself. Well, then it got to the point was don't put your hand up no more. Just
he'll
take the
protect you.
chair
Just
shot.
take the shot. And you know what we did? a shot.
Exactly.
That's what we
Exactly.
did, you know. But okay, so then I got through that match. I was pissed off, you know. I was like, man, I just brought all these people down here and they're watching this shit. This is what I'm giving them. This is my
Yeah.
audience, the ones that I brought down. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the whole audience was the whole audience, but the people that I brought down. Now, how did he make up for that? I got my dark matches. So anytime I went over,
Okay.
I had my dark matches. Worked with Donnie Allen, Derek Cabrini College. You know, we split that, and I brought my people down and you know
Okay.
and stuff like that.
So
And
they did give you a little back then. Okay.
yeah, they did. They give me a little back, but you know, I'm trying to promote this. I'm trying to do something so I can get over. So the people that I bring down will enjoy what they're seeing, so they can come back again and maybe
Yeah.
bring more people. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That
Sure.
was the whole idea. It's not like you're on pay per view or TV or anything at that point. And even when
Right.
you always great to have an awesome crowd, right?
Sure.
All right, so you know that's what I was doing. You know, putting out a lot of tickets. And you know, just doing what I was supposed to do. And when he put the microphone to my face, and I got to tell you, I had to get refreshed about all this because I haven't watched those matches in so long. I'm talking years.
Yeah.
So, you know, my wife knew this was coming up. He said, "Look, I found a link. This guy put everything together, and it's one after the other." Dude,
Somebody put. I just found today.
yeah,
Somebody put on YouTube all your like TV matches on
yeah.
one thing.
That's what she said. I was like, really? You know, this is all a surprise. You know, it's like after 3 decades, you know, this pops up months ago with Lons and now, you know, like this. And so I'm watching the matches. I'm sitting there like, holy shit. I really sold my ass off, back in the day to make these guys look good and to really push what they were doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in a way, right now, it'll piss me off a little bit, but then I think about it, it's like, wow, I am doing all this with all these guys. I'm talking Balomo, Morocco,
Yeah.
the French guys, Eddie Gilbert, the Koloffs, Stan Hansen. Wow, Stan Hansen broke Bruno's neck. And I'm
Yeah.
wrestling this guy. Holy shit, I'll get to that one too, but crazy stuff. So moving on to the next match. He wanted me to, I'll stay with that one. He wanted me,
Okay.
I guess, to say his name or something. And I was pretty much saying, fuck you, because I wasn't going to do it. You just fucked me up. You want me to say your name? Dude, I'll tell you what, you know how anger builds up in you and it just builds up, but you try to suppress it and you try to suppress it and you try to suppress it. And then you actually suppress it to a point at times that you're afraid of how you might use it against someone.
Yeah.
Somebody might be freaking 7 feet tall, but when you got all this in you, you're gonna fuck them up. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my French.
Yeah.
But
No.
so it was tough. It was a tough situation, and I didn't sell that part. But
How about like all the people you were selling? That's something I wonder too. All the people you're selling tickets to, there had to come a point to like they probably were like, "Yo, Ern, like we love you, but
yeah, they're
we're
like
tired of seeing you get your ass
like,
beat."
yeah, I mean, they were like, dude, you gotta take care of yourself. You gotta take care of your body in there because these guys were much bigger than me, and I'm selling this beatdown for them.
Yeah.
And they didn't criticize. For the most part, they were all pretty cool. I think they understood what I was doing. You know what I mean? And I always protected the business. I said, look, what you see is what you get, and that's basically what it was because that's what we were taught to do. And I believed in that. Kayfabe made a difference way back when. It kept people more on their toes, like they really didn't know. It's like, is it? Isn't it? You know what I'm saying? So, but if you're in there, wrestling, taking the bumps, the chair shots, the backdrops, the freaking body slams, the throwing outside of the ring. I mean, all the stuff that we do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That takes its toll. And they saw that and it's like, man, you got to protect yourself. So I'm good. Don't worry about it. And you know what, man? Next time around, next match, I come in with a smile on my face, and I just I got to do. Now, the Koloffs, that was tough for my wife. She was in the audience. She's looking at me, and these guys are twisting me up like a pretzel. And he's like, afterwards, she's like, I never saw you twist that way. I said, look, that's the way it had to be. So they worked on my arm. I think I got one or two moves in, and that was basically it. I sold it. Let him work on my arm, and then he locked me up. It's time to give up. Okay, boom, boom, boom. I give up, and the match is done. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God I got through this, because that was pretty brutal too. You know what I mean? You're selling the punishment, but you're enduring the punishment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyway, I went to the back. Not 2 minutes later, I don't even know who came to me and told me, because I was a little, I wasn't right. It's like, you got your dark match now. Immediately after that match, dude, I barely had 2 minutes to breathe. So, the crowd just saw me get ripped apart. I can barely, move my arm. And 2 minutes later, I'm out for my dark match against Max Thrasher. Now, I know you guys were part of the Dudleys and stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, I never had a conversation with the guy to know what he was like. But, I got over. It was a DQ. He threw the ref, I believe, in front of me as I was coming, and I hit him. And I was coming towards him, and he threw him, and I hit him. I went down, and the ref called for the bell, and then this dude comes flying at me, which wasn't supposed to happen, with a freaking forearm, the back of his forearm to my face. I saw it coming, and I kind of diverted it, but at the same time, some part of his body, I don't know if it was a knee, another elbow, went right into my bicep where the Russians were working.
Okay.
I was like, holy shit. So the match was done. Didn't say much to the guy. And I'm sitting there looking at my arm. There is a hexagram on my freaking bicep where this guy just, dropped an elbow or a knee or whatever. And I'm like, holy shit. And I still remember, there was a girl, Tigra, that used to be with Rebel, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. Well, she was there, and she's the first one that approached me. And she's like, holy mackerel. I don't know if she'll even remember that if you ever get her on. But
I'm searching for her. I put a post out earlier. I'm searching for her.
So, babe, I had a freaking hexagram on my arm. And I was like, holy shit, what the fuck does this mean? You know what I mean? So that left me a little dazed and confused and stuff. So I, got my stuff together, rolled out of there afterwards. I couldn't even, I don't think I had another match because I was, I couldn't move my arm. My bicep was my bicep was not here, but it was right here on the side of my arm with that hexagram mark. It took a good 2 weeks for it to go back into place.
Wow.
All right, moving on to the next stop. They decided to create Twisted Steel and Sex Appeal.
Yeah. Now, how did they like approach you, or did you just show up and they're like, all right, this is what we're going to do, or?
Yeah, that was it. It was like, this all happened in a matter of 10 minutes. This is what we're going to do with you guys. This is what I want you guys to do. Okay, so, Donnie and I, great guy to work with, man. Really, really nice guy. Wish I would have communicated with him a little bit more after all that. Really nice guy to work with.
I don't know if you know
some serious punishment too.
Oh, he took a lot of beatings too. I don't know if you know this part, but initially that deal was offered to Frank Cody to be you and him, and he no-showed it. He was like, nah, because it was going to be you guys going in there against Hansen, and he was like, oh, hell no. Like,
Hey, back in the day, dude, I didn't question anything. This is what you want me to do. All right, let's get it done. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't question. I did it with a smile. As I was
I
going
give you all the credit in the world because you
as,
did.
as I was going to the ring, because when I was coming back, there was no smile there, obviously. But crazy, crazy,
Did
crazy. And I didn't
now?
know. I didn't. He never even told me Frank did.
Well, how about like the name change? Like, why did they change it from Ernesto to Herve Ernesto?
That was all. That was all Eddie's doing. Eddie was the one calling the shots. He was pretty much putting everything together, and he was the one putting everything together and telling us what to do, what to say, how to do it. Basically, this is what I expect from you, and
Right.
that's what we did. So me and him had like a 2-minute match, and then we announced, "Oh, we're going to be Twisted Steel and Sex Appeal," and the crowd popped for that. I was like, "Oh, this is something new." You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah,
It could have been a lot of fun.
it could have been a lot of fun. And I'm like, and we're all for it because we're like, this is gonna take the next shape and it's gonna go to the next step, meaning
Right.
upward, not
Yeah.
downward.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
freaking know, you know what I mean? First match was with the franchise, so it's a
Okay.
$10 challenge match. We're putting him over. I'm taking the bump, and we're good to go. It's going to be a couple minutes. That's it. No problem. Good enough. No brutality. There just a few exchanges and a couple things. Taking that bump in the end, that was it. So that was pretty cool. And and then the the Hansen situation.
That was vicious, man.
Bro, man, this motherfucker was stiff as hell. But babe, I mean, if I don't know if you remember, if you know some of the matches there, and even the one that we had, I always told everyone, if you're gonna hit me, you better hit me freaking hard. Lay it in. I don't have a problem with any of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But this, when you're talking body shots, you're good. When you're talking head shots,
Yeah.
headbutt, stuff like that, that's a little bit different. Then you're really trying to do something crazy there. You know what I
If I
mean?
remember correctly,
Yeah.
I think he ruptured Donnie Allen's eardrum, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, cheers, my friend.
I have a beautiful EA. It's a fine red Portuguese blend, and I'm going to open it right now while I have this conversation with you.
There you go. What do I have here? I have from Argentina some Malbec.
Ah, nice. Very, very nice.
Oh, look at you. You got the power opener over there.
Got the power, brother.
uh, but I'm almost positive that because I remember like Donnie. Cheers to you, Ernie.
To you as well.
I'm almost positive Donnie had a ruptured eardrum after that or something.
Oh yeah, man. He went to school with us, dude. And you know what? That was for me. That was it, because here we are doing this shit, and then instead of like putting us in a situation where we might escalate a little bit, get the crowd motivated because this is something new, do something crazy like that. It's basically, all right, listen, we're going to put you together, and then we're going to throw you to the wolves so you can get banged up and look bad. And at this point, I'm like, what the fuck am I selling tickets for? So I still sell them because people were actually asking me for them at that point.
Sure.
But not as many as before. And when we went in the match, I had a very, very brief conversation with Hansen. Very brief. You know how people say, we're going to do this, that, the other thing. Didn't happen here. Very brief conversation. And I was trying to talk to him about his matches in Japan, because I was kind of interested in that. And he said, the only thing he said to me, as long as the promoter pays me, that's all I care about. And I said, well, it was nice talking to you, Mr. Hansen. Next time I saw him was in a ring, and that went kind of crazy, Wow. You saw it. Everybody cared to pay attention. And, dude, man, it was kind of, I tried to hit him with a drop kick. The dude didn't even sell it 1 inch. He just brushed it off and went on the attack, tore Donnie up and tore me up. And, what are we going to do? Retaliate against freaking Hansen on TV? What's going to happen then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We had to do what we had to do. But at this one point, this is when I think he got really pissed. And frankly, I don't give a. But when he tried to grab me, I was like, "Nah, man, you ain't getting me." I backed up, and he came out and got me. I was like, "Bro, I'm gonna get you anyway." I was like, "Yeah, what the hell? Go to school, man." You wrapped this freaking rope up around my neck and freaking hit me with a couple butts. And I tell you, those shots were not easy to take.
I'm
And
sure.
I had a headache after that. Looking back now, I can laugh about it. And
Yeah.
Earlier about boiling over, you're getting so much frustration that you're ready to freaking explode. Dude, I didn't know if they put me in a ring with somebody else, probably whatever the case may be, that I would go freaking nuts on someone because I had so much freaking anger at this point from having to do this, but doing it anyway because that's what we do, right? That's what a wrestler does.
Did you ever like at that point like go back to Eddie or Todd and say something or?
After that match, I was so pissed off. I mean, dude, I was not in a right state of mind because I was so freaking pissed off. So what do? I go back, I get my freaking gear, and I'm out of there. Boom, just like that, And you know what? I never went back. Never got a call from Eddie. Never got a call from Ty.
Wow.
So I was like, you don't call me. What I just went through for you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call you either. And they never did, But I got to be honest with you. I give nothing but credit to Todd and Eddie and Paulie for what they did with the product. I have no animosity or anger or anything towards anybody that was involved. As a matter of fact, I'm grateful, looking back now many years for the opportunity to be in the midst of all that craziness because I kind of wanted to be. And it's not like you're put a gun to your head, so do this or else. You're willingly going in there and accepting what's, given to you. So,
yeah. No, I mean, I feel the exact same way. Like at the time, in my first run with ECW in the Hell Rider days, and we had the same thing happen where we were actually getting a push, and then once we got TV and Eddie came in, he just he jobbed us out, and I was fucking pissed, and we were just basically let go, and I was very, very angry and bitter because I was doing a lot of work behind the scenes for Todd and helping promote stuff, and I felt really, really fucking pissed off about that. And I like stopped watching ECW. I was like very anti ECW, and that's when I started my own promotion. And then when I got asked to come back as a Dudley, and then then there was other situations where
who brought you back? Todd?
Steve Richards.
Stevie Richards brought you. Okay. I guess
What?
Always like
Steve. Yeah. They started the Dudley gimmick. The funny thing is, the gimmick started, and I saw it on TV, and I said to myself, "Holy shit, that looks like me! Like I look like a Dudley." And the following week, Richards calls me up. He goes, "Yo, we got this new Dudley gimmick. I think you're a perfect fit. Do you want to come back?" And I was like, "Fuck yes!" So, right. So I end up back there, and history's made. But and then when I left again because I felt jaded, again I was very bitter. But going back, looking at it from my personal outlook on my career and my ability, I get it. Like I was not, I didn't have the full ability to go what they needed me to do. I was not going to take ECW to the next level. I was perfect doing in the role that I was. And I found out a lot about myself as a person and my, what I wanted to do in wrestling. That's when I realized I was happier actually being booker and promoter than I was in the ring. And I felt I was better. I felt I was a better booker, not a better promoter.
That's your role. I mean, that's the role that you felt good with. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's good when you can realize that and see that this is where I fit best in, and then do it. How cool is that?
Yeah.
And you're still doing this. We're still talking about it.
Right.
And, we're moving forward with that. How cool is that? Decades later, man.
It's 3 decades later, but maybe it might have taken me 10 years to appreciate what we had done. But yeah, I feel that same way now. Like I feel like too, I'm that little piece of sand in that big beach of ECW,
Right.
but I appreciate being that little piece of sand, and
Yeah,
it's
looking back
amazing.
now, I kind of do too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
I just had this afternoon, like an hour ago, somebody reached out to me and want to book me in Louisiana for an appearance. Like,
how cool is that?
right? Like, come on
Come
now,
on,
like
Louisiana, Chubby Dudley.
it's
Sign
crazy.
autographs. You know,
It's crazy.
it's pretty awesome though. I mean, down the road, all these years, we're talking decades later, and there's still some interest in ECW. I mean, that defines how important the product was at that time. And with all the stuff that you or I may not agree with what they didn't do, or whatever else, they created something special. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we can be
Magic
proud
history.
about that. Yeah, and that's why we're still talking about it 30 years later, after the fact. TWA, ECW. You know what I mean? How cool is that?
It's crazy.
And to be a little part of that, that was kind of special.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Now, so when you left, did you
Yeah.
just like done with the business at that point? Did you try to get booked anywhere else, or
Well, I worked with you guys for a couple
yeah?
of years, and that was LAW. I think I worked a match.
I'm
I
actually
worked,
wearing my old LAW shirt.
uh, I
Look
got I got Rey Mysterio. You know why? Because
at
he's a
that,
and he could do some damage. He works great.
dude.
Um,
Ray is smaller than you.
what's that? Yeah,
Ray's smaller than you.
I know he's and look, but he's so damn good, man. And he
Yeah,
and what he does is so believable and so sellable and stuff like that, which is so awesome because he's so athletic. I
yeah.
got to tell you, I went back to one of the ECW shows. I don't remember which one. I was with a buddy of mine that night. We'd gone out to get something to eat, and I was like, dude, you know what? I think ECW is at the arena tonight. I haven't been back in so long. Let's
Mhm.
shoot down. Well, we got there, place is sold out. I was
Yeah,
like, wow, man, it's really come a long way.
yeah.
So it sold out. And then I go and talk to the guy who was at the door. I said, dude, I had a couple matches here. I'd like to come in, maybe you chat with the guys and stuff like that. And he's like, I remember you. Yeah, come on in. Go ahead. So I was like,
Nice.
cool. Got into the show. That night, I went in the back. I spoke to Todd maybe 2 or 3 minutes. He never brought anything up, never said anything regarding, and I'm talking a couple, maybe a year or 2 or 3 later,
Okay.
never made a comment about what happened. Why did you leave? Why didn't you come back? Nothing. So I was like, cool. He doesn't bring it up. I'm not going to bring it up either.
Sure.
And I chatted with Stone Cold before he was Stone Cold,
Hmm.
Cactus Jack back there. One guy who was really not nice is wow, what is his name? Jeez, Taz. He was not a
Okay.
nice, he was not a nice guy to approach. That's all I can say. I'm walking over them because I thought he was Tony from the Pitbulls, and
Okay.
I knew Tony. I trained with him and Gary, and I was approaching because thinking that he was Tony. I don't know why. He just looked that way to me, and as I'm approaching him, I'm realizing, wait a minute, this is not Tony. He's like,
Yeah.
He's like, the fuck you want, man? I was like, whoa, I thought I had somebody else. So then I
Holy
turn around,
shit.
there's Cactus Jack. And we strike up a conversation. Really, really cool guy.
Yeah.
And Stone Cold, he was there too before becoming Stone
I
Cold.
was probably there then.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't speak to you because I didn't stay in the back for too long. I wanted to get out and see the show because this place was packed. It was jumping. Something crazy
Yeah.
was going to happen that night. So I remember, I don't remember all the matches, but I know I saw Little Ray, Little Ray,
Hmm.
and he had a match where this dude dove off the freaking top of whatever that stage was. There was higher,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and the place was going nuts, man. They were bringing the matches into the middle of the crowd. I was like so freaking hyped up, dude. I'm actually happy to be here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
much fun. And I remember at one time it was a bring your weapons match. I was like, your weapons match. I remember freaking what is his name? Raven. I remember Raven
Okay.
getting popped over the head with a freaking VCR. Holy shit. Then he get it, and he freaking bleeding everywhere. I was like, man, this is freaking crazy. And then I was thinking, man, I wish I would have. Maybe I wish I would have come back to hang out a little bit longer, and things worked out. I could have been in the mix of this deal as well. And I kind of felt bad about that, and I felt, damn, why didn't I do that? So I didn't. Hey, can't change things, right? Because it just tremendous craziness of this show, and the way the crowd was going nuts over it, it was making me get into it.
I got, it's funny because I remember, like, I got fucking chills thinking. I mean, that extreme error was such magic. It really was.
It was one of the best times in wrestling that I can imagine, to actually see what they did. I mean, the match between Malenko and Eddie Guerrero, and just incredible, and RVD. Ah, man, seeing this after the fact in those matches, I was like, wow, man, I wish I would have been in the middle of that. I guess if I wanted to that bad, I probably could have gone in and approached again to see, look, let's talk about what's going on. But just the way things ended, and the fact that, after all that, after giving all that, bringing people in the door, selling the product, making it as believable I can. And I think the way I sold, the beatdowns was very believable. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So I did my job. I did my job at them. I just wish that they would have done what they said they were going to do. And I'll tell you why that ended. First of all, I walked out. I never came back. I was too pissed. I thought that I might really hurt someone because I was, I was about to explode.
Yeah, of course.
And you want to have a hard hitting physical match, but you want to respect the fact that we do what we do. We fight against each other, but we protect each other at the same time, if we can, right? So, and that was scary to me. It really, really was, bang, because of all the shit that I had to endure all that time and push it out there and sell it, and that's what I did. But the idea was this was going to be a crazy idea, and I don't know if it would have panned out or not. The idea is I was about $160, $165.
Okay.
And then Todd approached me, and he said, look, I've been talking to Eddie. We're coming up with an idea to do something special with you. And this is what kept me hooked and on for a little while longer. Because after that Russians match, I was like, that hexagram shit. I was like, So this is what kept me hooked a little bit longer. He said to me, we're gonna do a gimmick with you where we're gonna give you a valet, and on top of that, you're gonna have a big mirror in the ring, and this 160-pound body is going to start flexing like you're the freaking Incredible Hulk. Like with Lex Luger and shit. What they did, the Narcissus where he had the mirror and he started. But that dude had a massive body, right? Well, the idea was to do this with me. Can you imagine how crazy the freaking audience would have reacted if I'm like, I'm the freaking Incredible Hulk. I want to do this. I'm going to do that. How crazy would that have been?
That would have been hysterical.
So he was talking to me about it. I was like, wait a minute, that sounds kind of interesting,
Yeah.
So he kept me hooked for a couple more matches like that, where I endured the punishment. And it never came to be, unfortunately. And you know what? If they wanted to do that bad enough, either Eddie or Todd would have reached out. But they didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Didn't want to go. So then I had a couple matches there with you guys. Frank, I got to thank Frank from the bottom of my heart. He made my night that night. The Peacemaker versus Ernie Austin is what I used there. That was a really, really special match for the fact that everything went well. Crowd popped for the finish, and I had my kids, my family, a bunch of kids from the neighborhood down there, sold a lot of tickets like I always did,
Right.
Yeah. And he made it extra special, with that situation. and I can't
That
think of
was, I think, our
that was
first
special. That was a
show
very
we did. Yeah,
it was in Upper Darby at one of the high
yeah.
schools,
It was my old
and
elementary
then
school.
you were doing something in Springfield. Yeah, and then you were
Hmm.
doing something in Springfield, and I had a match there with the Maverick as well.
Right.
That was pretty cool. Ceiling was a little low. I think Frank, man,
Yes.
somebody gave him a
September's.
flip and he hit the freaking ceiling, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
As
yeah.
he was going over.
Somebody's
That was
somebody's feet
crazy.
hit the thing. Yeah,
Yeah. I think it was Frank, if I'm not
it might
mistaken.
have been.
Yeah.
It might have been.
So, we had a pretty good match, I think, that night. Maverick, he went
The
over.
funny
It
thing is
was good.
that show,
Yeah.
people don't know that show was actually the debut of Francine. Francine went to the ECW
No,
school, but they wouldn't book her. And one of the students came to me and said, "Hey, would you put her on a show?" And I booked her on that. She was on that show. That was her debut. Was with us.
how cool is that? Look what she
Yeah,
did in freaking ECW. That was beautiful, man.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
awesome. Yeah. And Beulah McGillicuddy. Oh man,
yeah.
I loved what they did. I love what they did. I mean, I've seen the matches. I've seen what
Hmm.
they did, little bits and pieces here. Sometimes all the matches, and it was just so cool. Beulah and Francine put on a great match.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Great stuff. Great stuff. And and then
Did you ever approach like Dennis Carluzzo or anybody to work over in Jersey like after ECW or anything or?
no, that's where he was the one running the shows and the WWA, who was running the school. Larry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Larry Sharp running school, and let's see, Charlie Fulton. He trained me a little bit, and Larry too. So
Hmm.
there's a funny story. Going back to that. When I went to the school, I came back, afterwards, to get ready for that first match, and we're working out, man. And Tony's there, and Johnny Hotbody's there, a
Hmm.
couple other guys and stuff. And I'm in the ring with this guy. He's like an Indian chief. I tell you,
Okay.
this dude was about 420 freaking pounds.
What was
And
it? Was his name like Chief
Chief what?
Thundercloud?
Chief
Thundercloud
what?
or something?
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
it. The big chief. Holy shit! I'm in there and we're sparring, and I'm like, "The hell am I going to do with this guy?" I run to the ropes. I run to him, dude. I bounced off him like a freaking ball. The guy didn't even budge. You know what I mean? 150 pounds, 160 pounds, right? This guy's 420 or whatever it was. Anyway, I came. I fell. I got back up, and I hit him with a drop kick, and I hit him with a drop kick, and he barely like moved. And then the guys outside of the ring, they were like, hit him with another one. So I hit him with another one. And then he moved back about a step. And then he's like, hit him with another one. So I hit him with a third drop kick. And this time, dude takes a bump. Man, when he hit that ring with that full bump, I think I must have bounced up about 3 or 4 feet. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. That was
That's
that was
hysterical.
that was funny. Man.
That is
We
hysterical.
moved to that gym. That gym was a Taekwondo gym or whatever the case might be. Before it became that wrestling gym, one of them was in Paulsboro, and the other
Hmm.
one was in the town right next to Paulsboro. Um, and that's where things got started. Before that first match when I came back, from our vacation, our anniversary.
It's funny because the one thing that I always thought about with you, and I again going back to Frank, me and Frank had these conversations over the years, was when we first met you in '91, I guess it was.
Yeah,
With your size in 1991, you were like, "Oh, this poor guy's going to get his fucking ass killed." Like he's just
and I
like
did.
because you're 150 pounds, and
Right,
and then fast forward again, like 3, 4 years later, and you got guys like Rey Mysterio on the scene, and you're like,
right.
"Holy shit!" Like they're paving the way for guys like Ernie that people would believe they're legitimate contenders now.
Well, you know what, man? Let me show you. Do you know why I put the belt on Little Rey Mysterio
Why
because
is that?
I really appreciate he being this small and doing so much and putting so much out there. And I mean, really, really great work. You know what I'm saying? And the way they put the belt on him at one point, I thought that was super cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I have a funny Rey Mysterio story from my ECW days.
Yeah,
It's a little crazy, but those ECW Extreme days. I mean, it was insane. I mean,
it
the
was.
the parties and the hotel and everything afterwards were just insane. It was complete just debauchery, whatever that word is, debauchery. um, I was on the
The bo-
elevator with a female, and I had her top off in the elevator, and the doors opened, and Rey Mysterio's there, and he's just like staring at me. He's like chubby. I'm like Ray, like I'm like I'm going back
How
up.
cool is that?
Crazy
what what a
that
situation.
that Travelodge, the stories that place could tell.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy, crazy in those times. All the
Yeah,
vaccine stuff and everything that was going on. I mean, a lot of guys, man. I feel bad too for a lot of guys because
we
people
lost
like
so many.
Tony. Oh, dude, man, insane, insane. Juice was running
Yeah,
wild. And eventually that kind of tears into your situation. If you're lucky, you'll get through it. But you know,
yeah,
when you're wrestling, all you want to do is get big. I mean, Todd told me, man, are you bulking up a little bit? Are you bulking up a little bit? And I picked up some juice, and I had to get that shit in, and it was all new to me. I did that for about 3 weeks,
wow,
and didn't I didn't feel right, and it made me kind of nuts. You know what I mean? You got to keep
yeah,
control. You got to, you know. One time I'm home, I don't know what I don't know what I was angry about. I think it had something.
yeah,
Maybe it was because of what was going on there.
sure,
ICW at the time, what I had to do, but I did a roundhouse kick. I took out three freaking pieces of the staircases, the wood
yeah,
staircases. I took out three pieces of freaking the stairs. I maybe broke one or two, and the other one cracked a little bit. And my my son was right there, and I saw the look on his face. And when I saw the look on his face, I don't know, it just did something in my head, and I went upstairs. I opened up the bottle. I dumped the rest of it. I did about 3 weeks worth of that. That was about it, and that was it, man. So sorry, what you see is what you get. Can't juice up. So I never ever touched that again.
well,
But a lot
I'm
of guys, they have
I'm
pain. They
glad
needed to do stuff, and it's unfortunate.
I'm glad you told that story because a lot of people don't. They just see
I didn't do it, man.
the glorious stuff they see on TV, especially nowadays. It's like so like
Yeah,
prestigious and Hollywood and everything else. They don't realize the
right.
ugly, underseated ugliness that goes on behind the scenes, where you got you know guys
I don't know.
doing
I don't know
the
if that's
steroids
I don't know if
and
that's
the
that or not.
painkillers and all that other stuff. It's just it's a
Yeah,
very crazy business.
it really is. I mean, and you and I and a lot of other guys and gals, we did this for the love of the game. I don't
Hmm.
know why I was captivated by it as I was, why I loved it then and still do today to some degree, although I don't follow it like I used to, because
Sure.
uh, the importance of doing that kind of went away. I still
Yeah.
stay with it. I still watch, but like for example, last night the pay per view, way back when I would miss it. Now, last night I was sitting down in our living room watching a movie with my wife. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
knew that was. I followed some of what you were saying, so I kept up what was going on. I'm still interested in knowing
I got
that.
sucked into it. This. I don't know what you know. What the Royal Rumble is just. a fun. It's always been a fun thing because you never know what's going to happen. The surprises and there's just so much fun that can be had with it. So I
I'm
was like,
upset.
I'm like, screw it, I'm going to watch it.
I'm upset that the Big Chief still has the title. I thought it would be cool to put it on somebody else so they could, because he's had it for so long. He barely defends it. You know what I mean? From what I read and I see
Yeah,
briefly, you
yeah.
know. So I'm like, wait a minute,
Well, I'm guessing
guys that,
WrestleMania,
that
he's
you
going to
only
drop
work
it.
4 or 5 nights, six. If you're Flair, 6, 7, 8 matches a week. You know what I'm saying? And you
Yeah, he
get
works once a month. Must be nice, right?
yeah, it must be nice and getting paid, really, really well to do it. With now
Yeah,
with merchandise and all that stuff and the way they push it out, these guys get paid massive amounts of money. They don't have to put their bodies on the line as much as a guy who works 3, 4 nights a week. You know what I mean?
right.
I saw this interview with Ken Shamrock, right? And they proposed a question: what do you think is tougher, MMA or pro wrestling? The guy's like,
Ooh,
he didn't even hesitate. He said, "Oh, pro wrestling by far." And he's like,
really?
"Well, why? Because pro wrestling is not real. It's fake. You do and this and that." He's like, "Well," he said, "when you get into an MMA fight, you can have that done in a minute. When you get into a wrestling ring, you're going to have to utilize your body to deliver, moves, take moves. We're talking back bumps, this, that, the other thing. You're going to get banged up. And,
Yeah,
these guys in Japan, with pancreas and stuff like that, these
yeah.
guys hard, man. That's like a
Hmm.
work shoot. They're beating the crap out of each other, but they're doing it so effectively. It's unbelievable to see. You got to check out some of those matches if you appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
Um, you know, but
Let me
how crazy is that? You propose it to, and he says that. Uh, I was like thinking, damn, that's pretty crazy.
let me run through some of these comments here. Justin Ribeiro, which I'm assuming is somebody you know.
My son, what is
There
that?
you go. What's up, Justin? He said Ernesto Benfica is in the house.
Thanks, Just.
What's that like now for you, man? Like 30 years later, and your kids are grown up and all, and they know what Dad did. What's that like for you?
They to be honest with you, my older son, he was just here the other day. Lives in Philly now, by the way.
Okay.
Uh, he said to me, "Dad, do you realize that you were ECW way back when?" I was like, "Son, but I don't have a belt to show for it, and I didn't reach any level, to for it to be special." And he's like, "Dad, but it is special." And I was like,
Absolutely.
I didn't understand where he was coming from with that. So he sees it a little bit differently than I do. You know what I mean? Happy to have been there, but some tough stories to go with that. As you know.
All right, Nick Infante, 1992. What's up, Nico? All right, he says, what was it like working with Eddie Gilbert in the NWA ECW?
It was brutally painful, but for the most part, he didn't try to kill me; he just tried to hurt me a little bit, and it was pretty cool. I had good dialogue with Eddie. Didn't know where he was coming or going from sometimes, but he created an opportunity for me, and if I would have hung out another match or two, things may have been different. But I just didn't want to anymore at that point. But
it,
it
it's
was still the work.
it's crazy to think too. Like you know, God rest his soul, Eddie's gone, and like I even like I was even thinking like, would he have been one of them people like if he had lived that you would have saw one night the lights at the arena go out and they come back on and Eddie Gilbert's back in the middle of the ring? I mean, how fucking amazing would that have been? And people would have lost their shit.
That would have been awesome, man. It really would.
Yeah,
And you know what? I wish that he would have reached out. Maybe I wish I would have reached out to him as well. After all that, we just didn't.
yeah,
And then when I found out he passed away, man, I was like, uh, really, really sad about it. Someone that was behind the scenes that was making some real moves at the time, making some
yeah.
serious decisions on how things would go. And he's just like that. He's gone. I heard he got carjacked in Puerto Rico or something. Is that what happened, or did you hear another story?
No, I think it was. An overdose or something like that.
Oh wow,
I think.
common stuff in the wrestling business way back when.
Absolutely. All right. Nick says again at the. Look at this. He even has a date. Holy shit! At the Chestnut Cabaret on 11/16/92, the Hell Riders defeated Ernesto, Benfica, and Frank Cody.
This is very true. You guys got the W that night.
Yes, we did. Yes,
You
we
know,
did.
do you remember that match? It was a pretty.
That match. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to tell you about that match. That match. Fucking. I'm going to be honest, Ern. Todd told me. He said, if you have to, beat his ass.
Right.
I'm like, fuck. And then we were just in there, and we had a fucking ball, but it was a great match, and we were doing all types of shit, and the crowd was into it. And afterwards, Todd was like, "That was the best match you guys ever had. You're booked on every show from here on out." I was like,
"How about that? Huh? Pretty cool."
All right, yeah,
yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it was a good match. I remember that finish. You pinned Frank. And I flew from the top rope at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And did body press on your part. What was your partner's name?
Pat HD Ryder.
HD Ryder. Okay, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
But
that was a cool finish. And then we took it a little further. We went a little extra after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my people, they were right there. You know, I had maybe 20 people with me that night. You know, they were right there because that place didn't pack a lot of people. And
it was a couple of people.
And as we were going at it, you know, it was like, you know, we were going back and forth. That was a cool way to do. That was a good night, a good night of work. Oh, how crazy!
Scary part is I was only 22 years old then.
Yeah, man. That was. Look, let me show you this.
What the hell is that? The check? Is that what you got paid? No way.
That is the very first check I got for Eastern Championship Wrestling on
oh my God.
November 16th, 1992, man. 25.
Holy shit! Look, that's the match.
Todd Gordon's signature, babe. I thought I had to bring this out because I wanted to show it to you at some point. You know, that was that match.
That's amazing.
I never cashed the check. Look, never cashed the check. I kept it as a souvenir.
Wait, all right. Now, I got a real fucking bone to pick now. He only paid you
interest, man.
He only fucking paid you $25 for all that tickets you sold.
Well, you know, we had a separate deal with the tickets.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say, what the fuck?
Okay, but there you go.
All right, that's an amazing piece of history.
Is that?
All right, so Nick said, and he died of a massive heart attack in his sleep in his apartment in Verde, Puerto
Rico. Okay. I didn't know that. I heard it was a carjacking or something like that.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got here.
Nick Infante.
August 8th, 1993, ECW Arena was the last time Herve Ernesto appeared in ECW.
It was Stan Hansen, brutal match, very frustrated, walked out, never came back.
Wow. Let's see. Nick is the man. Nick's got all this stuff for us. The same show, Tito Santana defeated ECW champion Don Morocco to win the title. I didn't even know. You're spoiling stuff now for me, Nick. I didn't even know. Wait, so Tito Santana was the ECW heavyweight champion at one point? I didn't even know that.
I don't know how that came to be. Tito Santana defeating ECW champion. I don't know how that came to be, but I remember that night. I was in the back. I spoke to Tito. I talked to him for a good 5-10 minutes.
Very, very nice guy.
His kids were there. Really, really, really nice guy. And I remember him saying to me, Ernesto, are you related to? I think it's some promoter somewhere named Ernesto. I'm not exactly sure. You know, so
Wow.
I said, "No, unfortunately, no, we're not." And I talked to him for a while. He was a nice guy, a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, yeah. And the few shows I worked with him, a very, very nice guy.
Okay,
Priscilla Ribeiro, $25 in 1992. That's crazy.
that's my daughter. Yeah, honey, this is what it was like. Let me show you the check again.
Now, you know what's crazy, Priscilla? It's 2024, and there's guys doing what your father did 30 years ago and getting paid less than the $25.
Yeah, some of them $10, from what I understand.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Hey, that's why you had to make up the difference. You had to sell tickets if you had that worked out. you know,
Exactly.
some people nowadays they get paid $50 for a show. It's generous, and they still have to go out and sell pictures. You know, to draw some decent money for the night's work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you do what you do. When you need to do it.
She said, "Yikes, no thank you."
Yeah, but I was wrestling this guy, honey, in a tag team match.
How about that?
Chestnut Cabaret.
Wow. And it's just the
That-
cabaret's not even
that
there
was-
anymore. Too funny. Wow. So, all right. So, when was the official end of your career? But like with Stetson last week, he had talked about when he started getting involved in promoting. I guess around 2000 that he had booked you
yeah,
on his shows.
yeah. Let me get into that. I mean, that's where him and I have a complete and utter difference of opinion on what happened, and I don't understand why he depicted it the way he did. It was just wrong. So I'm going to clear that up.
Okay.
Anyway, so I did. I did those two matches there with you guys. I don't know if you guys were running shows or not, but I guess, lost touch. I didn't reach out to you. You didn't reach out to
I
me.
I stopped running shows um around 95, 96 when I left ECW again in 96. And I left the whole business because I at that point I was getting married and everything else. And then
Right.
I started promoting again in late 99, 2000.
Oh, okay. All right. I think because I saw you at that show
Yes,
that Tony was promoting. I saw you that night,
correct.
and we talked for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and oh yeah, so that show. So I call Tony because I saw, you remember a guy named Michael Tierson. He used
Yeah,
to
of
be
course.
a jockey for the radio, of course, 94 YSP or
He
94.
used he used to referee shows for me when I was promoting back then in 2000, 2001.
Well, he got a nice little gig, and he did that and I really enjoyed it. And you know why? Because at the time we didn't have access to internet at a moment's notice. Things were much more different. No cell phones, period.
Right,
So
right.
so I got in touch. I got in touch, and he says like this to me. Oh, I'm glad you called. Tony Stetson, the hitman. And I was like, I got some. I think I got a good booking for you. And I was like, oh man, that sounds great. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I called. And I went down. Wait a minute, was this after that or before that? I'm trying to think. It might have been before or after. I'm not exactly sure. It's hard to keep track. It was so many years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I called him down. He said, "Yeah, man." So I showed up for the show. This was the first of two.
Okay,
He didn't mention the first of two. He just mentioned one last time he was on.
okay.
So, so I go down and I'm like, I sell some tickets. I got a crowd down there, people from work, this, that, and the other thing. And, I got maybe 20, 25 people down there for the show at
Hmm.
Murphy Rec Center.
Yeah,
And I give him the money, gets the tickets and stuff like that. He paid fair. He was a fair for that show. That much I got to give him. Anyway, I, uh, I'm talking to him, and he says to me, "Okay, I'm going to put this guy, the mummer, over." And I'm like,
right.
we're in this part of of the city. I mean, it's heavy duty mummer town, you know, no problem at all. So we did what we did, but I have people coming down. I want to make sure they get their money's worth. You got to understand it from my point of view.
Sure.
And he says, okay, so Stevie's going over. Me and Stevie, we work out our routine, and we're doing our thing. Had a really good match. Outside of the ring, inside of the ring. He flew from the top rope to the bottom. There was the Inquirer magazine there that night, and they were
Okay.
taking pictures. And I think they did an interview with Tony, and they got two pictures of me and Stevie. For that they ran it on their magazine. I didn't even know. Some guy at work said, dude, you're on the Inquirer. I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, you're in the Inquirer. I saw you, dude. You got to take a look at it. Picked up the Inquirer, and it's like, holy shit, he's right. I was like, wait a minute,
Wow.
do we have the Sunday Inquirer? Because that's where it came. I think I asked my wife that, and I was like, okay, so we had it. I checked it out, and there it is, a little spread. They didn't talk too much about us, but the pictures, two pictures.
Right. Right.
I'm like, what the hell? That is so freaking cool. So for that show, and we had a good match. He went over, no problem. But I said, I got to do something for these people that came down to see it. So what I do, I talk to the ref, Ferguson. I tell him, dude, I got some people here. Stevie's going to go over, but afterwards I'm going to get angry with you, and I'm going to stone cold stun you. Ernie Austin. I'm going to stone cold stun you. Try to create a little something there. And he was like, oh man, no problem, no problem. I'll tell you. And I stunned him really good, and a dude took the bump. It couldn't have been better. This was a big dude, nice kick to the gut. So when I did that, it felt like I gave them their money's worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he still got what he wanted, but I got a little something for the people who came down.
Sure.
So we're booked again. We're booked again the following event.
Okay.
I go down. I talk to him, and again, 20, 25 people down there. Like I always brought a little from works, businesses, whatever. I always try to cover what I was putting out, because I like doing what I did.
Yeah.
And so I got to give these money's worth. So I'm thinking, okay, so I put Stevie over last month. Shouldn't be an issue. He tells me, oh, I'm putting Stevie over again, because I'm going to come in the ring and I'm going to hit you with a chair. I was like,
okay.
What the fuck, man? We did this last month. What's the deal with that? And he's like, look, we just do things to prep things up. But he wasn't telling me what. So I was getting a little pissed off. I was like, wait a minute, dude, this is my second run here. I brought people down for you. Now who is actually interested in seeing what we do. And why are you doing that? And then I said, okay, all right. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I did nothing. I talked to Stevie. Stevie tells me, Ernie, I got nobody down here tonight. I was like, okay, so what the fuck is the point of doing this? And that got me pissed off. Then all of a sudden, flashback, ECW. What the fuck, man? Trying to screw me over here for some reason? I don't need to do this. You know what I'm saying? And me and Stevie, we didn't talk much for the rest of the night. Everything that happened out there was more ad lib, except the finish.
Yeah.
I got to the point, had him in a cross-face chicken wing, cross-face, and Tony comes into the ring. He's got his chair, and I give him his play. I move to the other side of the ring. I give him his play because is he going to hit, him because he had a little history with him, or is he going to hit me?
Right.
I said, okay, I give him his play. I turned around and bop, no hands, no nothing, just bop. And, it was a chair shot. I took it.
Sure.
No problem. So I'm going down, and I make sure that I land close enough to the freaking rope. And as the referee taps the last three, I grab the rope.
Okay.
While the ref is looking at me. So it's like, why did he do the last three if he had his hand on the rope? So I'm giving, I'm giving the people that came down a little something,
Yeah.
and it gives me an excuse to tear into the referee again, to give them a little something back.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did, Stone Cold stunned him. The guy walked out of the ring. I was taking him back to the dressing room. You know what I mean? When we got to the dressing room, we would do what we do. All of a sudden, Tony comes out at me and shit. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And he came at me and he got me with a couple, Carleone, his manager, whatever, was holding me. And he's taking some shots and I'm selling the shots. Picks me up, body slams me, starts giving me a couple more shots. No problem. It was smooth. I took it, I sold it. Okay, he's pissed off at me because I didn't stick with exactly what he wanted me to do. But
Right.
come on, dude. I've been around the block before. I didn't like what was happening. I thought that was disrespectful, and it is what it is. But don't get me wrong. I like Tony. I like him very much. I like Johnny Hotbody. All the guys. I have nothing, no ill will against any of them. Just grateful to have had the opportunity to be around them.
Absolutely.
So that was it. So he says last week when I'm listening to him, I said to him, "You're fired." He said, "No freaking such thing. No such thing." And then when I called him a couple of days and I was like, "All right, so what's the deal?" He said, "I'm not going to use you anymore." I said, "All right, well, thank you. Best of luck to you." And that's how it is. So I don't know why he, did what he did, but I just wanted to clear the air and the record.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So then afterwards, I got into a little PWA situation down in Kensington. They were running some shows, worked with guys.
Now, who was that? Who was the promoter of that one? I'm trying to think.
I don't remember. I don't remember the guy's name. But it was the PWA. Stevie came down actually for one of the shows. He ran shows. He ran shows at the rec center in the Northeast. He ran shows there. We actually even did a charity event for the church there. Needed a new boiler, and all the guys came out. Put on a show. Had a great match there with a guy named the Old Dog. We took that stuff into the audience, used some chairs, went back against a trailer, some crazy stuff. Oh, and one of these things that was absolutely awesome about being there and this point afterwards, I actually took a dive from the top of a freaking arena onto two guys, Mercury and another guy that that was fun. That was exciting, And it is what it is. And this is where it almost got to the end there. Had another little run with the WWWA. This is a funny story there for the WWA to close it out.
Okay.
They did a show here in Levittown.
Okay.
And I went to that show. Hooked up there and set up a little something for the market. What was the name of the market? Gilbertsville. It was a Gilbertsville market there. Who ran that? I don't remember.
Dino Santa.
Oh, Dino Santa. Oh, yeah, Dino.
Yeah.
Dino was a nice guy. The referee, the guy who was the booker, not so much. All right, so I'm getting to the show, and I look at the list of who I'm supposed to wrestle. And they say, "Are you wrestling this guy named Cage?" Freaking this dude was at the end of the freaking locker room there, doing a little something with the weights. He must have been 290 freaking pounds. 6'5", 6'6". I'm like, holy mackerel, this dude is huge. And wrestled him, and it was a pretty good match. We went back and forth. Size didn't seem to come into play there. We were able to put on a good, and that was that. Ben. That was the end of the career.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, I do.
Even
Yeah,
after all that, he misses it.
even after all that, if even after all that, I still think about, doing it. It's something in your blood, man. It just
I was gonna
doesn't.
say it's in your heart.
It does, yeah, something about it. I think that when you do this, you just want to do it,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
continuously. For most people, anyway. I don't know about all. I can't speak for everyone.
absolutely. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Sophia Martins, Fifi Cakes here with a question for Ernesto Benfica. Can you smell what Fifi is cooking?
La, 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 la. Oh. That's my
uh,
that's my sister-in-law. They're all on,
uh,
man. I think they're all on.
have people come up to you and said you kind of look like The Rock, and maybe The Rock and you should have done a match together?
My sister-in-law has told me that before. I believe I'm
That, that
answering her.
that's that's who said it.
Oh man.
And she also says it's their loss. You would have been amazing.
That was amazing, and yes, I
There
would
you
have been
go.
even more.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Nick Infante also said there's a video of you and Donnie Allen with Paulie Dangerously cutting a promo on Stan Hansen. And actually,
That was
I
hilarious,
just
man.
saw that promo for the
That
first
was
time the other
hilarious.
day, and I was like, the when I saw that, I said to myself, the potential of this fucking gimmick would have been amazing.
I think it may have been. You just never know. It depends on how they wanted to go with that direction, and
Yeah.
the direction they took wasn't good as far as I'm concerned. How do you
You
change it up
know,
and then send two people to the slaughter like that? What was the purpose of doing it? It makes no
but you know
sense.
what would have been funny? Would have been if Paulie
What?
managed you guys.
I think that would have been awesome. Yeah,
That would have been
but
hysterical
that's
because
for us to.
the funny thing was like it was the first time I saw either of you guys cut a promo, and you guys both were good on the mic. And then I think Paulie even looked a little like surprised.
Yeah, man, what could have been? That's all I could say. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, things didn't go that way.
that's
It
true.
is what it is.
It is
But
what
I'm
it
happy
is.
to have been a part of it there, Bay. I know you are. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
happy to be considered an ECW original with my little bit of sand. You know.
To the sand.
Hold on, let me pour a little bit more here.
There you go. Do a little more.
To the sand.
To the sand.
To the sand.
That's awesome.
Bay, I got to tell you, if you ever have an opportunity, you and your lady, book a trip to Portugal. Enjoy the sights, enjoy the food. The food is the most magnificent thing you can enjoy there. And it's
Believe me,
reasonable and it's good. You should really try it out.
for the first 50 years of my life, I said I never want to leave the country. Now I'm like, I want to go see the fucking world.
And you should, man. A
Yeah.
lot out there to see. But make a pit stop in Portugal. Go to Porto, go to Lisbon, go to Algarve. I think you'll have an amazing time. And if you enjoy a nice meal, nice wine, as I know you are enjoying tonight, and I am as well, you're going to love it. And you're very, very reasonable as far as food is concerned. Very
That's
reasonable.
awesome.
You'll eat really good and great, and it'll be a nice time. So
So
you should try it.
have you? When's the last time you've gone back to Portugal?
2 years ago.
Oh, okay,
Unfortunately, it
awesome.
was not for a good reason. Unfortunately, it wasn't for a good reason. It was the
Okay.
passing of my mom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She wished buried there with her when it's passed as well, and we
Okay.
honored her wish. Had a service for her here, had a service for her there, and it was unfortunately the last time I went. You know,
Well, you need to go back for a good occasion.
yeah, man, I think that would be fantastic. I
Absolutely.
think that definitely would be fantastic.
Well, Ernie, I
Uh,
want to thank you so much, man. It was
so,
great. I mean, honest to God, no bullshit. It was a lot of fun hanging out with you tonight, catching up with you, talking with you about all this stuff. It's stuff I've wondered
oh,
over
it's
the
fun.
years, and honestly,
I like
I
to
know.
know.
Thank you. I think a lot of people truly did wonder, like, what the hell did Ernie go through, and what the hell has he been up to? Where's he at now?
Well, you know what, man? I've been blessed with a wonderful family, great kids, wonderful wife, good parents, brother, friends. Um, I'm a very, very lucky person. That's all I could say. And on top of it all, I get to live out a dream that I had since I was a 7-year-old kid for a period of time. For the good, for the bad, for the indifferent, doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm. I will always be grateful for having had that opportunity. I thought it was pretty cool. As I know you do as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ern, do
That's
you wanna put anything out there? Like if people want to find you, get hold of you, where they can find you?
Listen, if anybody wants to reach out, I have a Facebook page. I don't have anything, put together or anything like that. And um, that's all I could say. You know what I mean? I have no problem talking to anyone about anything that they might want to know about the old ECW days and some of my experiences. But Facebook, I appreciate you having me on, man. I really, really do. It's been a long time, and it was great chatting with you.
Absolutely. And I want to, I love this message, and I feel it right here in my heart. And this is from your daughter Priscilla. Priscilla, I love you, Dad. You are always the best in my eyes.
You're always the best in mind, darling.
Uh, Honored I got to read that. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, babe.
Ernie, take care of yourself. Hey, I'm glad to be back in touch with you. Let's not be strangers, and let's I'm doing this whole ECW thing. You never know. We're going to do some more stuff and
I
have
know
some
I'll
fun
listen
with
to
this.
some more of the stuff. I'll definitely listen to some more of the stuff. Oh, Glenn Osborne. Um,
Yes.
I meant to mention that when I went to the WWA, Dino's place.
Yes.
I'll tell you how that ended, how my last match ended before we get done.
Okay.
I went there. I worked with Cage that night. It was a great match. He was a really big dude, but he was really, really cool to work with. And then I went back the following month. The month I was there, and I did that with Cage, we were setting up a little something with him. And I had the belt. I threw it at his opponent. He was working, with a chick that night, and to create a little stir. We never finished. We never finished what we started there in the WWA. So Glenn Osborne, how you doing? How about that?
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I thought I'd leave it with. I thought I'd leave it with. He
Yo,
did very
Glenn, you
good to the
watching?
Russians.
Sadly, Glenn's back is so screwed up. I don't think he'd ever be in the ring again.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
like Glenn. He was a nice
Yeah.
guy, and I was
Abs-
hoping we could do something together. That never worked out. The reason it didn't work out was, again, it was like a recurring thing. I don't know why that was, but went down to the farmers market. Was going to get booked for a second month, and I'm supposed to wrestle a guy named Hello Wicked.
okay.
And something I got to say about this organization, and I have nothing bad to say about any other organization, is what they paid people was insulting.
And who
And
was this? WWE.
WWA Dino's group,
Okay.
the booker there, not a very kind fellow, and what they paid was not not really nice. It was insulting to the people who get out there and do the work. And that's
Wow.
basically the only thing I'd like to add to that. Other than that, all the other organizations were fair, and it was nice working for the PWA for a little while there. Got a little of action in Philly, in the Northeast, and in the Kensington area. That leap from that building that day, wow, felt like Superman for a minute. So, and listen, thank you to everyone that had any participation in allowing me to live this experience. It's special till today, and I'm grateful that some people are still interested because it's just a normal thing, to be honest with you, but special nonetheless.
It's normal for us in some crazy way, but it's special for a lot of people.
True. Oh man, challenges, Bay, are not roadblocks. They're just stepping stones to some potential
Right.
greatness. So we always try to approach and that in a positive way, and keep a good mindset. And
Right.
things tend to work out. And
Absolutely.
thanks for having me. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you, Ernie.
Great freaking chat with you tonight.
Absolutely, man.
And,
I had a blast.
tell Frank, hey Frank, if you're out there, if you're listening, if you get this from him, thanks very much for that match in Upper Darby. It was very, very much appreciated, Santa Claus. Pleasure handling that, with the Peacemaker. And if there's
he
video
actually
at any point in time, please, send it to me. I would love to see it. That was pretty cool. I know there
he
was.
actually called he actually called me the other day when he saw that you were going to be on here. He's like, "Oh my God, Ernie!"
Yeah, man. I liked him
Yeah.
very much. Great working with him. I wish we could have taken things to the next level, and I would have loved to reciprocate it, based on what he did that night, which was really cool
Yeah.
for myself,
Yeah.
my family, and the people that were there. All right.
Absolutely. Ernie, take care. To you and your family, yo, this guy, the real deal.
To you and yours, man. Thank you. Have a
Appreciate you.
great night.
Take care, Ernie.
Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.